It turns out that China is going to overtake the United States in 2027. It was said that this might be delayed for a year or two. But this year, God has pulled off a little trick, right? God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. It was. In the global economy, China stands out. We are ahead of schedule in terms of overtaking the United States. There will be no problem reaching this goal in 2027. The U.S. will not survive. And they're totally ruthless, and they're bringing down the West and merging it into communist China for a planetary takeover. And the deal was made in 1949. Now on national Chinese television, on the equivalent of their C-SPAN, the communist Chinese are celebrating the end of America and celebrating dead Americans and saying, our COVID-19 weapon has destroyed them. We control their people. They will never end their lockdown. America will be over within 2 years. This is the globalist New World Order weapon. And China's right. With Bill Gates, with Jeff Bezos, with all these globalists working against America and consolidating power and destroying local economies, America is going to be over in 2 years. They're going to cut the power. They're going to cut the coal. They're going to cut the farming. They're going to cut the infrastructure. They admit they're going to bring us to our knees. This is the great leap forward for America, which means total collapse. You have to understand that they only had a few months of lockdown as a martial law drill. They hyped up a bunch of fake videos, scared the hell out of folks. Turns out most of them were fake videos. Did send over a virus that spreads so everybody gets it, so everybody is suspect. They admit the PCR test, German courts ruled, are fake 96% of the time now. It's to bring in the global grid and to artificially shut us down to complete the transfer to communist China and big tech. And that's why Jeff Bezos made $100 billion extra himself this year. Big tech is consolidating. This was all planned. It was big tech that locked down first to show us how to lock down, but they were never locked down. They're making us obsolete. Amazon goes on lockdown hiring spree while small businesses go bust because you're following their criminal orders. Now here is Chinese sociologist Dr. Li Yi on national communist television. We are driving America to its death. COVID-19 has been beneficial to China, North Korea. There will be no U.S.-China war, but we will take over Taiwan. Goes on to say the United States will not exist within 2 years. He says their lockdown will never end. And remember, Tim Cook, Apple is lobbying to undercut law condemning Chinese slave labor. They don't even want a law condemning it because they're the main beneficiaries. That's who Tim Cook is a soulless, empty, simpering monster. Oh, but he gives money to Black Lives Matter. Oh, and don't worry, Biden's choosing an all-female senior White House press team. How novel. It's all just patting you on the head. Oh, we love women where they're in the press corps, whatever that means. Doesn't matter if the Clintons and Biden are involved with Epstein. They don't care. It's all about, oh, women, you're winning. You're getting ahead in this system. No, you're not. It's a fraud. It's delusion. It's disinformation. Let's go ahead and play the video, and I will read the subtitles. Go ahead and start rolling it. It turns out that China is going to overtake the United States in 2027. It was said that this might be delayed for a year or two. But this year, God has pulled off a little trick, right? God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. It was. Back it up a little bit. To them, the Communist Party is God. And then spread it everywhere. And then we stay locked down under our globalist controllers. They don't. Let's continue. The COVID-19 pandemic is like a test for all the countries in the world. This is a test base, though. COVID-19 is bad for Europe and America. But it's beneficial to North Korea and China. That's why North Korea is #1 in the globe fighting it. and China is number 2. North Korea has 0 infections, right? So this system can do it. Our system is good, but not as good as North Korea's. You still have 4,000 dead, right? But 4,000 Chinese die virus is 220,000 in the U.S. We have really lost a single person, have we? We're close to 0 infections and 0 deaths. If 4,000 people out of 1 billion die, that's the same as no one getting sick. In the global economy, China stands out. We are ahead of schedule in terms of overtaking the United States. There will be no problem reaching this goal in 2027. The U.S. will not survive. We have struggled for more than a decade. In 2012, we achieved absolute superiority over the U.S. and Japan, the Taiwan Strait. We have gained absolute superiority over the United States. I mean, this is a martial law shutdown designed to bankrupt the economy, and the leftists and globalists are admitting they're never going to turn things back on, and it's being done for a global government reset takeover. The Communist Chinese and the Davos Group and the UN and the Democrats say, and they're all using the same terms, Great Reset and Build Back Better, which means the end of the fossil fuel economy. But of course, the fake green economy they roll out doesn't even operate or work. It'll just starve billions. Absolutely incredible. Disney World Economics. How coronavirus could be used to justify a global financial reset. That's a new article out today. Oh, from Bitcoin.com. How incredibly cutting edge. In March, in April, in May, in June, we all put out articles and videos saying COVID-19 is the Davos Group Great Reset to devastate local economies and consolidate power for the mega banks. Because they'd been bragging they'd use a virus for years for a great reset. It's in Operation Lockstep. And sure as the sun came up this morning, that's what we're in. Do you understand? We've done the research. We know the facts. We know the enemy game plan. And I say that because there's thousands of different political ideas out there, and people just get to the point like, oh, that's just one more guy's opinion. Oh, that's just Jones. The left is worried about transgender and pronouns and all this, while big tech runs death camps in China. And Republicans are, over worried about budgets and stuff like that, which are real issues, but still side issues when you talk about the total cultural satanic takeover of society. This is a military, economic, cultural, spiritual takeover. And if you have this knowledge, you will survive and thrive. If you don't, you will be destroyed. So I'll say it for the millionth time. It's not about me sitting up here saying, we told you so. I can't believe they've bragged about these plans out in the open and they're not all been arrested. But the average FBI agent is a lawyer. And the bosses are all lawyers. And they're all there to mitigate danger for themselves and the system, even though the system is feeding humanity into a meat grinder. They cannot act. They cannot take action. They were bred to be followers. They were bred to be part of a process. They were bred to not know they were taking down the country, even while they were doing it, while supervillains like Klaus Schwab and Jean-Claude Juncker and Xi Jinping laugh at us. Because there comes a point where they got to admit it. Hey, COVID-19 is not really a threat. We're using it for the Great Reset. That's Klaus Schwab quote. That's all this is a depopulation plan. And once they're done collapsing the third world, they're already going to flood us with those third world populations and then use that crisis to set up world government to handle the refugee flows that they've already prepared and opened up the refugee corridors into Europe and into the United States. So let me show you the China angle on this. Excellent article by Gateway Pundit. It's linked to the federal and state statistics. Talk about no evidence of fraud. That's all there is evidence of fraud. It's like being out in the middle of a giant lake and saying there's no water around here and you're on a damn boat surrounded by it. Today's fun fraud fact: 1.8 million mail-in ballots were sent out in Pennsylvania, and 2.5 million mail-in ballots were returned. You look that up for yourself. You know, I'm no mathematical genius, but I'm pretty sure 700,000 phantom votes is evidence of widespread fraud. Well, not according to Brian Stelter. He's God. He says it's not. But we have this audio we're going to play here in just a moment. This is from nationalfile.com. I suggest you share it. Video: leaked phone call allegedly reveals Chinese businessman buying bulk order of fake ballots. And what do you have in Georgia and other states? Perfect ballots, not folded, that it looks like a computer has printed the Scantrons, because they have. Here is the audio of the leaked phone call.
主要是那个，只要你那个钱到位，那个量不是问题，都可以的。因为它那个油墨油那个印刷的是不一样的。
We're going to print them how you order them. You got the money, we'll send them to you however you want.
然后到时候你们这边发物流的话，怎么发？
What about the courier service? Because I'm going to order a very large amount. Large amount, courier? Normally it would take days. Courier is rather slow. Let me have a look. Courier company can do international service as well. Great, I'll do that. How much do you charge for each ballot? Same price as last time. Please send me the QR code again. And again, I didn't read the first part, but he's there saying, you know, you got the money, we got it for you. And that's why they caught planes, but then nothing was done, flying in from China with ballots to Nevada, to Arizona, and to Georgia, Michigan, and they saw Chinese men in Michigan and other states at 4 a.m. when everybody else was not allowed in there, going in with the dollies of the ballots. I mean, that's it, period. And if we let them do it, they rule us. And they're bragging about it everywhere. They also sent in the fake driver's license so folks could vote. What the Chinese consulate was doing down in Houston. They've done it. Look at these headlines. Biden mulling Rahm Emanuel if his hoax works and he gets in for Department of Transportation chief report. And they've got the tranny lady that they want to be the chief surgeon general over removing your son's testicles. Remember, the old Surgeon General, Jocelyn Elder, said, you need to reach down to the kindergartners and help them masturbate. Touch their genitals, yes. The audio's out there. Oh, help them. Ah. Well, no. And Jocelyn just wanted to touch your children's genitals. No. How about remove them? Ever wanted to know what a monster looks like that comes to scalp little boys' testicles? Let's put it on screen. Beautiful and brave and stunning, and wants you to take a forced inoculation. Why not? What a goddess. You offer up your testicles to it, and meanwhile, the communist Chinese throw gays in death camps and Muslims in death camps and supervillains. Klaus Schwab, Xi Jinping, all of them twisting their metaphorical mustaches, laughing at us like Dick Dastardly as we take it because we're a nation of Stockholm Syndrome wannabe victims. They've got all the statistics, how they tell troops, you're depressed, your life's over, then they go kill themselves. Oh, you're weak, you're a victim. I'm a victim, I am weak now. And everyone gets into being weak and gets in, oh, COVID, you wear your diaper to protect you. It's this little selfish binky blanket you have. And the Chi-Coms with giant death camps and Tim Cook just ruling with blood spewing out of the ground, just shipping and all the fentanyls. We flop around dying like dead fish, just savaging us. Just remember, all the hell that's following is because of your inaction. When your pension funds are worthless, when you have nothing, when we're beyond a third world country, at least have the honesty. I'm talking to the minions of the system to remember you flushed it all down the toilet. You took your birthright, pissed it away. President Trump has to level with the American people, not with a tweet saying, I don't concede, biggest election fraud in history. That's a side issue. It needs to be the president looking right in that camera with the camera zoomed in right on his eyes, talking directly to the people of the world, not just the United States, and calling out the evil empire communist China and Bill Gates and Fauci and the Wuhan lab and how they engineered the virus, and it will destroy them. Because all that news came out before Trump was even elected 4 years ago. It was in New Scientist. It was in Newsweek that they had Chapel Hill, gain of function, coronavirus, bat virus. It was called COVID-19 2 years ago in World Bank and IMF reports. China, under Bill Gates and Fauci, was running 11 programs in that lab. And when they knew the impeachment was going to fail, they went ahead with Operation Lockstep, cooked up by the Rockefellers and Gates. Gates admits this is a drill. Klaus Schwab admits it's a drill to take control, to have the UN, global government, take control and defeat the nation state with a global crisis where a global government is the solution. President Trump must come out in an Oval Office address, state the facts, and then stand up with a PowerPoint presentation with 20 slides that show where it came from, who did it. Because if he doesn't, his family and America and myself and everybody else will go into the next phase of enslavement. And this great leap forward, this great reset that is designed to bankrupt the middle class and destroy our capitalist society and bring us into a top-down, globalist, fascist society that resembles communist China. The very same robber baron families that put Mao Zedong into power, I've got all the evidence here, I'll cover it next segment, are the ones that are doing this to the United States, and they admitted the Davos group 4 years ago that they would, quote, defeat Trump with economic war. Fauci admitted Trump will be challenged by a virus. 2017. They have now openly thrown down the gauntlet. And President Trump has to do more than just pardon General Flynn. That's a good start, as Senator Paul has said. He needs to pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Now they are patriots. They are heroes of humanity. That is the beginning of declassifying the deep state's criminal activity. Trump needs to devastate the arrogant system now with the crimes they've committed and release everything the president has. Because Joe Biden didn't just try to steal this election and got caught red-handed. Joe Biden is a Chinese communist agent, and if you read what Xi Jinping says, he admires Hitler and he admires Stalin. And Tim Cook goes over there and praises him 3 years ago and said, we agree with censorship here and in America, and is lobbying against a law in Congress that condemns Apple and others running the worst abusive slave camps with millions of Christians, Buddhists, and Muslims in them on record. It's not debated. Trump has the ultimate bully pulpit and the ultimate evidence of what these scumbags have done. But he must take them on head on. All the little fakes that lied in Trump's ear and said they were friends of America. Tim Cook, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, all of them. Trump got elected as a maverick. He turned the economy around. He brought jobs back. He stood up against the ripoff of prescription drugs from China. He did a great job. And now they're never going to let Trump ride off into the sunset. They're never going to not prosecute him like Biden says they won't for made up crimes, because they want blood and they want to repudiate the liberty movement. They want to punish. There's an article on Infowars.com. Chinese sociologist Dr. Li Yi, we are driving America to its death. COVID-19 has been beneficial for China. North Korea, there will be no U.S.-China war, but we will take over Taiwan. Speaking on national television, the sociologist, speaking to the Communist Party-backed forum, said the United States will no longer exist in 2 years. They are weak. they failed the COVID test and couldn't contain it. That's because it's fake test. Even the German courts admit 96% false positive. It's never about death now. It's always about COVID cases. It's a globalist plan to conquer us. They admit it, and he admits it, and is so arrogant and praises North Korea. This is who Apple and Google and Facebook and Twitter, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg asked Xi Jinping to name their son. Or was it their daughter? This is sick Chi-Com worship of dictatorship and worship of that model to defeat America. It's the CFR religion. So we'll go through this piece by piece as he talks fast. This is on national TV, them celebrating the destruction of America and lying and saying we failed the COVID test, just like our own media tells us, and how they're never going to take their boot off our throat, and how it's over and how we're done. Roll the tape. It turns out that China is going to overtake the United States in 2027. It was said that this might be delayed for a year or two. But this year, God has pulled off a little trick, right? God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. Hit pause. They worship the Communist Party there, so that means Xi Jinping with Bill Gates. God created COVID-19 and spread it to every country in the world. Continue. The COVID-19 pandemic is like a test for all the countries in the world. See, they said that 8 months ago. Now, oh, China, martial law, they passed the test. We didn't, so we can never reopen because we haven't learned to be totally shut down. Let's continue. To test for the countries of the world. The test is biased, though. COVID-19 is bad for Europe and bad for America. And now all the Democrats, including Vice President-elect, the fraud, say that it's a European virus. It's America's fault. Let's continue. But it's beneficial for North Korea and China. That's why North Korea is number one in the global fight against the pandemic. And China is number two. North Korea has 0 infections, right? 0 infections. So the system can do it. Our system is good, but not as good as North Korea's. Now, when he come back, he says, this will destroy America. They will never reopen. We're going to come back with this. And this is on state-run TV. They're bragging. They've been given all the power by the Rockefellers, given all our jobs, one-sided deals. So little pig demons like this guy, and Mao Zedong, who, by the way, didn't even bathe, was like mentally retarded, can just rule over us. All right, overhead shot, please. Chinese sociologist on national TV at the big commie forum says America is over. But again, the United States saved China and the communists from the Imperial Japanese. And then the robber barons went and invested and built them up and told Mao Zedong everything he did. It was a Rockefeller plan. And David Rockefeller, again, wrote op-eds in the New York Times, I'll show you in a minute, in the 70s, praising Mao Zedong and his great leap forward and his Cultural Revolution, even if it was being condemned by the Communist Party at the time that had removed Mao from power and had him and his wife on house arrest. But there was his daddy, David Rockefeller, whose daddy had put him in power, praising the mass murder of 47 million in the Great Leap Forward. Great leap forward, great reset. Same deal. I'll show you in a moment. But I already played most of this last segment. There's like 30 minutes of it. You want to hear it. But here's a little more. We're on Chinese Communist TV nationally. He's talking about destroying Americans and how great it is and how we're pathetic and how we're not going to exist because of the lockdown. which their lockdown's over. Oh, they did a great job. Nobody's sick now. Oh, yeah. And our own media is bought and paid for by these little guys, these commies. And so they all spout it's not from China. China's great. China's good. Yeah, I mean, here's Tim Cook right here. Shameful. Apple is lobbying to undercut law condemning Chinese slave labor. Apple's lobbying Congress to weaken bill against Chinese slavery. Well, but it's because he supports Black Lives Matter. Apple lobbies Congress to weaken bill banning use of Chinese slaves. Even Washington Post talked about it. Apple lobbies against Uyghur forced labor bill. Wow. But see, when it's a guy from China running slaves or taking organs, it's okay. And look at the hate and the just, I mean, over there, it's, folks, if you get hit by a car, they just leave you dead on the side of the road. No human rights, no, and we're just worshiping it. Oh, the average leftist has like Mao patches on their arm, like, oh, it'll be utopia soon, oh yeah. And it's so sick. This guy would laugh at them. Absolutely, hard as nails, no compassion, no love, no nothing. 5 million people in death camps, 3 million Muslims, 1 million Christians, 1 million Buddhists. He loves it because he's proud. He's up there on the communist television announcing the destruction of America. And America didn't stop us. We're stopping them. They won't even exist soon. The lockdowns, they failed. And our leaders go, you did fail. The lockdown never ends because you didn't do like Xi Jinping did, where it came from, rubbing it in our faces. And all the liberals love their mask. I was at a restaurant yesterday, and they were wearing them in the restaurant, and they'd pull it aside to eat and put it right back, just like they get told. And Gavin Newsom says, oh, wear it when you have sex, and don't have family. I'm like, oh, yes. And they're like, oh, we're powerful. We're the resistance. We're the rebellion. We're the rebel HQ. The Young Turks call themselves, funded by George Soros and all the big money and all the big Hollywood and the Chi-Coms and all the big banks. Oh, you're the rebels. Like Tim Cook, he's gay, he's a rebel running death camps. Let's go back to just a horrible, sinister monster that our government won't protect us. Our media is an enemy, and just up there like, America's done, just seething with his hate. To like force his will on us because he knows America is greater than he'll ever be. But we got seduced by globalism and put into a trance so this little monster could piss in our face. And the New York Times and the Washington Post can praise Xi Jinping and his model of systems. Here, let's finish up. So the system can do it. Our system is good, but not as good as North Korea's. Yes. Hit pause. Millions starving to death every few years. Total death camps, hell on earth. They don't have electricity in 90+% of their country. Oh, North Korea, yes. Yes, we could be as good as North Korea. Let's continue. We still have 4,000 dead, right? But if 4,000 Chinese die viruses, 220,000 in the United States. We haven't really lost a single person, have we? We're close to zero infections and zero deaths. Because it's a hoaxed up virus that does spread so that you get it. You don't get sick unless you're debilitated, but they get to hype the fear because it's a virus Bill Gates owns with Xi Jinping. We're close to zero infections and zero deaths because you statistically make up whatever you want. During the Great Leap Forward, they had more than 70 dams fail within 5 years and kill hundreds of thousands. They just passed an edict saying don't count the numbers of dead from the floods. And they just said the dams didn't fail. The dams failed, killed everybody, but they just on record say the dams are still there. The dams are failed. This is delusional, crazy man behavior. But he does what he's told and gets to this delusional insanity. Remember that when you're opening something from China that breaks in a couple days, that you sold your soul to this little sack of manure. Let's continue. We're close to zero infections. If 4,000 people out there of 1.4 billion people die, that's the same as one getting sick and no one dying. Oh, but wait. You don't see this getting censored on Twitter. He's basically saying it's a hoax Klaus Schwab says COVID isn't really a threat. It's a pretext for the Great Leap Forward, the Great Reset. In the global economy, China stands out. Let's hear this. We are ahead of schedule in terms of overtaking the United States. There will be no problem reaching this goal in 2027. The U.S. will not survive 2027. We have struggled for more than a decade. In 2012, we achieved absolute superiority over the U.S. and Japan in the Taiwan Strait, but not in the world. We have gained absolute superiority over the U.S. military in the Boral Sea and the Yellow Sea and the Taiwan Strait. And we are expecting our military at a rate of unprecedented in human history. We have been launching fleets equivalent to the French Navy every year for several years. 1 French naval tonnage per year. We will continue to launch the equivalent of a French Navy for the next decade. As 1.4 billion Chinese people eat, sleep, defecate, and urinate every day, as long as we work every day, we will drive the U.S. into its death. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to all that. Oh, yeah, they're going to drive us into our death. Let me tell you about that. This is who Tim Cook loves. But it's cool because he's gay and he hops around. Liberal. We've got communist China that's killed 4 or 5 times what Hitler did. And they're totally ruthless. And their dictator for life, Xi Jinping, says he will defeat America. They will defeat the American system. And he has all these CFR and all these Bill Gates and all these Rockefeller Foundation people on record saying it's the Chinese century and saying America's done, telling us North Korea is the best place in the world and how they're going to crush America and how America's going to die and how America won't exist. And this is what people from the lowest level of the Communist Party to the highest level act like. The average Chinese person is in living hell, absolutely hates it. Communist Party officials can kill, murder, rape anybody they want. They are above the law. And that's what Bill Gates likes. And so I just thought today, with all this big news and all the stuff breaking, we should talk about what this is. You hear General Flynn saying it's a Chi-Com takeover. You hear all these other patriots. But I mean, is it really sinking in that at Davos 3 years and 10 months ago, they had Xi Jinping there with Jean-Claude Juncker, and they said, we will defeat America and Trump. We have a plan. We will destroy them. In fact, Juncker, the headline was, said, we will destroy the United States economically because they had on the shelf COVID. We know that. And now they get up there and laugh and they say, oh, COVID's not equal. God has visited upon America. America will never reopen because they aren't North Korea. He just said that. No, because they turned the PCR test up 45 times what it should be, where everyone has it. And then the average American has turned to be a victim. Like, I've got it. I get to take off 2 weeks. I've got it. I get to be scared and be special. And then a year later, we're bankrupt, we're in a depression, and you don't even know why. So let's go ahead and finish up with this little monster, this little pig-faced demon, Chinese sociologist Dr. Li Yi, bragging about how it's the death of America. And that's, you hear Antifa, that's Chi-Com funded, they're a Maoist group, saying death to America. Well, here it is. As long as 1.4 billion, yeah, go to the last slide, please. As long as 1.4 billion Chinese people eat, sleep, defecate, and urinate every day, as long as we go to work every day, we will drive the U.S. to its death. It's possible. So he just says, as long as we exist as good little slaves and good little cogs, we will drive the U.S. to its death. They're the ones ship the fentanyl in. They're the ones that make our drugs. They're the ones that run our country. They own Hollywood. They fund the race war garbage. On record. Xi Jinping funds Black Lives Matter with the, quote, liberal Nazi, George Soros. They're the ones censoring us. They're the ones that have free reign. They're the ones, look at him, an arrogant little monster because the robber barons in the West gave him all this power over us as a sick joke. But you know what? We let him do it to us, so we deserve it. Let's go back to that little monster. In any case, China's development cannot be resisted or stopped. As long as one thing doesn't happen. As long as China doesn't produce a Gorbachev who would mess up China's own internal affairs. But it's not communism. You have a fascist model with all these members of the party worth billions enslaving your people. The Russians were corrupt and stole some money, but they were nothing compared to you. You have the global market. The U.S. didn't sign over our whole market to Russia and set up deals where they have giant tariffs on us, but none on them. Total BS coming out of this monster's mouth. The globalists, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they put Mao in. They propped up China. They held their hand. In 1949, 90% of China didn't have running water or electricity, and they wiped their ass with their hands. Now they've got more coal plants and more weapons than we do because they were set up to take us down by traitors that want to destroy America's destiny. I don't want to destroy China. I don't want to drive them to their death, but he does because he's a Satanist. He doesn't even know what the devil is. He was born of the devil. He was born without a soul. And the Chinese that have souls are under his rule. You think Bill Gates was born with a soul? No. These are of the fallen ones. Look at him. He says he wants to kill you, and you won't even speak out against him. And the average trendy will tell you we love Xi Jinping. One of my oldest crew members, he's worked there 16 years. His sister worships, she's Anglo-Saxon. She worships Xi Jinping and says he will defeat Trump. This is main line of the Democrats. They love this. They love death camps. They love Tim Cook. They love people being murdered. They love harvesting organs. They love killing old people. They love it because they have a satanic energy and it thrills them. They want to be under a little pig goblin. They want to be poor. They want to have nothing because they've lost their soul. Let's continue with the pig demon. So he says, if we have a Gorbachev, it will cause China to disintegrate. Let's continue. Then nobody would be able. Back it up for me, please. As long as we go to work every day, we'll just start over. It's fine, no problem. Go and roll whenever you get a chance. As long as we go to work every day, we will drive the U.S. to its death. Continue. In any case, China's development cannot be resisted or stopped. As long as one thing doesn't happen, as long as we don't get a Gorbachev. Would mess up China's own internal affairs and cause China to disintegrate. Then nobody would be able to resist our development. As long as 1.4 billion Chinese people eat, sleep, defecate, and urinate every day. It'll drive America to its death, so that's the end. No wonder I'm like, keep playing it, it's the end. All right, sorry, crew. So I'm reading the CFR for 50 years saying China will overtake America, China will defeat America, and then them set every trade deal to ship all our jobs, all our industry, and then pass laws where we can't have cheap power here so no one can compete or operate here. And then you go out to a pro-America event, a Christian event, and literally obese, soft, weird white people show up with China flags saying death to America. every time. Usually you'll see like some giant, and nothing against fat people, but just, you know, it's weird how they're like overfed. People are starving in China and in North Korea. And it'll be some dude, we've seen the video, in an actual early Chinese uniform, communist uniform from like the 40s, a revolutionary uniform with Mao patches on it, pointing at me when I'm in an armored vehicle saying, we're going to kill you. And of course the Chi-Coms think this person's a joke. But that's how pathetic and dishonorable they are and how ridiculous they are. They'd be in a forced labor camp having their organs harvested so fast in China. China totally disrespects them. The Chi-Coms are working 15, 16 hours a day in focused determination to annihilate America. Their entire will is on annihilating you because they're empty and they're scum and they're trash and they are a satanic energy, and they believe they will only get relief when they have strangled us and annihilated us.